Hey guys, MichaelBtheGameGenie here. Thank you so much for checking out the video and happy Friday. Welcome to the Friday News Blast. We had a lot to talk about today. Yesterday was episode 6 of Arcade1UpDate, and surprise, surprise, the legendary guest was in fact Eugene Jarvis, creator of my favorite arcade game, Robotron 2084. What was Mr. Jarvis there to discuss, and what other news came out of the show? On top of that, iiRcade have their huge summer backyard sale that was announced a couple days ago. Well, today is officially the first day of the sale, so let's take a look at some of the games that have been discounted. And we've got a plethora of other news coming out of the home arcade, arcade, and gaming world I want to cover today, and I'm going to tell you more about all that right after this. So that's right guys, a lot of news to share with you today. Arcade1UpDate episode 6, the iiRcade sale, some news for pinball fans, where I am a pinball channel now, and as well, we've got some news on the smaller arcade scale. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate your support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, all that YouTube stuff. So guys, yesterday was episode 6 of Arcade1UpDate, and they promised a legendary guest, and they absolutely delivered with Eugene Jarvis. If you're not familiar with that name, he's the creator of my favorite arcade game of all time, Robotron 2084. He's a legendary game designer, worked for Williams Bally back in the day, and he's now currently working with Raw Thrills. He worked on Cruisin' and, of course, the Fast series. Now, what was Eugene Jarvis there to discuss? Was it bringing Robotron 2084 to Arcade1Up? No, of course not. Even though I had hoped for that, I knew that wasn't really going to be possible. More than likely, he was there to talk about the Fast and the Furious, which Arcade1Up just recently released. Now, most people are going to say that he was merely there to do damage control, as there's a lot of negativity in the community itself about the game, and I have to say again, while most people who bought it don't seem to care about that, they're just having fun, enjoying playing, they like the link technology, there is still some stigma out there about the quality of the game, where it's not the actual arcade ROMs, and it's actually only a port of Fast and Furious Drift that's chopped in two to make the two games. Well, Mr. Jarvis explained some of that yesterday, and he provided some justification. Take it for what it is. In terms of running these arcade ROMs on Arcade1Up's technology, it just isn't possible. Arcade1Up's technology is underpowered, and the explanation he gave was that even some people with high-end PCs have difficulty running these games or emulating them. So it was going to be possible to bring the actual arcade ROMs over, so they figured the best thing for them to do was a port with the most updated technology, which comes from Drift. Anyways, they did mention that they're very happy with what they've done, this optimized version they've brought over. They even mentioned they had the original game's designer working on the port, and they feel that it is a complete package. Take that as you will. I mean, I'm not going to touch that. I don't have the game. I'm not even going to have an opportunity to buy it. So take that for what you will. If you are unhappy with what they did, that's the reason they're giving, and you can believe it. Or, you know, take it at face value. Again, most people in the community who picked it up that don't have, the history with the game or didn't have expectations are really enjoying it. I don't know what to say. It's kind of like, I guess, NFL Blitz. If people don't have a history with NFL Blitz, they don't have the experience, they seem to really dig it. But the people that do have the history and do expect the exact arcade game are not going to get what they're delivered. I will say this though, like, I have a lot of history with WWF WrestleFest, and if Arcade1Up ever did a version of that, and they had to dumb it down to make it work, and they had to take wrestlers out and take features out in order to get it to run on Arcade1Up, I'd be pretty disappointed by that, and I wouldn't be very happy, so I know where you guys are coming from. Now, for those of you guys that were disappointed that Robotron 2084 wasn't revealed at this show that they did yesterday, don't worry, it was brought up. Travis directly asked Eugene Jarvis the question, if there was one title you could work on, bring to Arcade1Up, what one would you like it to be? And Eugene made my dreams come true when he said Robotron 2084. But I do want to preface this because I don't fully know if he was talking about Arcade1Up or if he was talking about Raw Thrills doing a modern day version for arcades. Because he did talk about a 10-player version of Robotron. It was really confusing. I mean, of course, I would like to see a modern 10-player version of Robotron that you can play in the arcade. But if Arcade1Up was to do a version of Robotron, I want the classic arcade game. I don't want it to be modified in any way. Don't do any shit. Just give me original Robotron. That's what I want. One thing they did not address when Eugene Jarvis was really on the call was the marketing and branding of the Fast and the Furious, considering the port they did and what they had to do to make it to work on Arcade1Up's hardware. There's a lot of questions in the community. Why didn't they just call it Drift? Or why didn't they call it Fast and the Furious Legends? Well, those questions weren't for Eugene, but Travis did bring Cyrus and David McIntosh onto the show, and that was really the first question he asked them. And I didn't really understand the answer, to be honest. I'm sure it has something to do with, licensing agreements and impact, but at the end of the day, this is the direction they thought it was, and they're, focused on bringing the best Fast and the Furious experience to the fans. I didn't really understand it, but I mean, I don't know what to say. This is what they were stuck with, and they branded it Fast and the Furious. So there it is. After this, they did bring up what happened last week with the Killer Instinct $150 sale issue, fiasco, whatever you want to call it. And David very specifically implied that it was supposed to be a pretty quiet sale that they were originally going to do through their private marketing, email loyal fans, but somehow it got leaked to the general public and it sold a lot more than they initially expected. And through some, ghost in the system, whatever it is, whether they didn't have the right quantity amount inside Shopify, whatever it was, there was a glitch in the system and they oversold the availability that they did have, which we all know. Now, guys, in my opinion, accidents happen. Whether it was they forgot to put the right amount into Shopify, there was some kind of glitch, like Justin said, about railroad sales, or they just plain screwed up, it really doesn't matter. Mistakes happen. My biggest problem, and I think most of the community's biggest problem, was how they handled the communication afterwards. And I was hoping that would be a little bit addressed on the show, but the focus was more so on the mistake of overselling the cabs, not so much the mistake of how they handled the communication afterwards. Listen, guys, it's not a good situation to be in, and there's probably no right way to dig yourself out of that hole, but there's certainly a wrong way, and I feel that's the direction the communication team went with in the virtual high five and how they handled it. So we came back to the show, and Travis asked a question that I think most of us have been very interested in. I know I've made a multitude of videos talking about this. Seems like Arcade1Up has completely forgotten the 80s, and earlier on this year, David McIntosh did indicate that at some point this year, Arcade1Up would in fact be releasing at least one 80s title they had never released before. So that's some good news for 80s fans. When brought up again in this episode, Cyrus kind of smiled and indicated that they had planned on only releasing one 80s title, but things have changed, and we're actually going to get a lot more aggressive release schedule than we originally thought from Arcade1Up going forward for the rest of the year. Now, what does this mean? Could this possibly mean more than one 80s title? Could he just be talking about titles in general? We don't know. But what we could suss out of them was the fact that expect to see a new game release either once a month or once every 2 months for the remainder of the year. I think this is actually an excellent strategy as well, because let's face it, Arcade1Ups aren't exactly cheap. It's not something that you can just go out and buy for like $100. So the fact that they release bulks of these at the same time, like 4 or 5 cabinets, that's probably not going to make as big an impact with consumers as releasing one every couple of months, because people's household income can probably afford to buy one maybe every 2 months or one every 3 months, something like that. But when you release 5 at a time and people want all of them, they end up making a big investment if they're going to get them, or they have to make choices on which one to buy. So I thought this was a pretty smart strategy. Then they also talked a little bit about the Big Buck Hunter Deluxe leak, and they really said they couldn't give any information on that at this time, but I guess we'll wait and see, because according to their schedule, we should have a new release coming up again, in a couple of weeks. So we'll see what comes out of that. Then, last but not least, there was a pretty exciting update for Mortal Kombat fans and fans of MK Deluxe and MK 30th Anniversary, where we found out that Arcade1Up behind the scenes have in fact fixed the input lag on Mortal Kombat and improved both the offline and online experience for players. This was a welcome piece of news that nobody was really expecting. Huge news, a performance update for Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat 30th Anniversary. Hopefully this improves the experience. The footage you would have just saw there was from my MK 30th review. I don't currently have Mortal Kombat Cab anymore because I sold it for the same online issues that other people were experiencing, and the fact that it had a really shitty screen. I'd considered getting the deluxe cabinet, but unfortunately it's not available in Canada yet. And won't be until late August now, I hear. So, unfortunately, I can't experience this, but exciting for those of you who can. Now, one thing that was a little disappointing, it was brought up, they did talk about spectate mode on Mortal Kombat. As you know, the Capcom games, all those fighting games have it. Great, robust community for those games. Then you go over to Killer Instinct. Killer Instinct has added spectate mode, whole lot of other features, which is revitalized that community as well. But the Mortal Kombat online community is suffering. And what David McIntosh said was, you need to do more than get loud. Get online and start playing these games and prove to us that the investment will be worth it. Well, this is kind of like a Field of Dream thing. If you build it, they will come. I don't think you can expect the opposite for just a bunch of people to start playing Mortal Kombat and then you'll say, okay, it's there. I think this is an investment you would have to make up front. Then you will see the lobbies start to fill up. On top of that, this is not a one-time investment. Let's be honest here, you guys are going to release a Mortal Kombat cab every single year until your company's no longer in business. So it seems like, to me, it's a smart investment. I would advise them to make the investment, go ahead, and the returns won't come from people coming online to play for no reason. It'll come because you've shown them that this is something you're dedicated to, and you want to build a community around it and build tournaments. So make spectate mode already. And guys, that was pretty much Arcade1Update's episode yesterday. It was an honor to hear from Eugene Jarvis, hear him talk about Robotron, his history in the gaming industry, and thank you for him taking his time and trying to explain what they did with Fast and the Furious. Whether or not you're happy with the justification or you feel it's damage control, up to you, but I mean, I'm going to take it at face value for now. And again, I can't buy the cab anyways. Moving on, there's something else I want to talk about. Earlier this week, iiRcade announced that they're going to be instituting a backyard summer sale where as much as 25+% off is going to be on select games. Now, this is an awesome thing. People get super excited about this. You can pad your library on your iiRcade at a discounted price. And maybe there's some games that you've been hesitant about picking up. Well, now may be the time to grab them. So if you guys go into the iiRcade game store, you can get a look at what games are currently available. You can see Mayhem Brawler actually went on sale the same day they announced the sale, so that's not new, but that is currently 50% off. One of my favorite games on the iiRcade. It's a modern beat-em-up style game, and they just released some free DLC for it as well with new characters. Great time to pick up Mayhem Brawler. It's Michael B approved. You've got other games like Space Ace. I just did a review on the Space Ace X Replicate cabinet. Go check that out, and you should probably pick up Space Ace. The version on iiRcade is very good. A lot of other titles you can just go down through. A lot of shmups that I've got on my list. A lot of action platformers. I didn't know if Astyanax was on sale. I didn't really see that one. Astyanax, where are you? Are you action? Anyways, I do have Roston, Warrior Blade Roston 3, so I'm going to probably pick up the rest of the Roston series. And, you know, I'll take a look and probably grab some fighting games. I know there's, where are they two down here? RGT85, huge fan of these. Where is it? Here it is. Time Killers and Bloodstorm. They're on sale for 50% off, $5 a piece. I'm going to pick up Bloodstorm and Time Killers. Probably not the greatest beat 'em up games, but fighting games, but there's not a ton of fighting games on the iArcade, so I'm going to try to have some fun with them. Anyways, guys, you can also see Operation Wolf, Operation Thunderbolt. If you have a gold cab and a Sinden light gun, now may be a good time to get them discounted 25% off. If you have a standard iArcade, I was really hoping Glenn's deck, at least the pricing and pre-order information, be out by now, but you can also consider picking them up now, adding them to your library for when light gun technology does come available. And while you're waiting, you can play it with a control stick. Probably not the best experience, but at least you're getting the game at a discounted price. Now, a couple more I want to suggest to you, and I'm going to tell you guys, these are by no means like arcade games. They're so weird, but for some reason they work, and I'm a huge fan of the series. The Ys games are currently on sale, 25% off. You can pick up Ys Chronicles 1, Ys Chronicles 2. If you're a TurboGrafx 16 fan like me, you will remember Ys Book 1 and 2. Both games are there on the iArcade. It's more like the PSP version, ported to the iArcade. They're fun. Go check them out. On top of that, iArcade released a new game for the iArcade today that's also currently on sale, regularly priced $19.99 for $14.99, called Brock the Investigator. And I have absolutely no idea what this game is, but it's a modern game, seems to have some beat-em-up elements, some point-and-click elements. Go check it out. It might be something you're interested in, and it's slightly discounted for the sale today. So if you're a fan of point-and-click games, I think this may be something that you would be very interested in. And again, it has beat-em-up RPG elements. What a bizarre game, but one thing's for sure, I certainly dig the art style. Now guys, I don't know if you're aware of this, but recently I bought my first ever real pinball machine, and immediately everybody assumed, well, this is obviously a pinball channel now. Well, since I'm a pinball channel, I guess I gotta cover some pinball news. So I want to say a huge thank you to my buddy Conti Dinda, who sent me this article. For those of you who don't know Conti, he's a huge person on all the Facebook fan groups, Super Game Room Dudes, Arcade1Up Canadian fan page, the Canadian At Games Legends Ultimate fan page. Conti is everywhere. So Conti is also a big pinball fan and a Godzilla Pinball owner as well. He sent me this article that Stern is getting set to finally release their topper for the Godzilla Pinball machine, and there's some actual good news that it's going to be coming in at a lower MSRP than the toppers they've been releasing previously. Like one, for example, would be Rush Pinball. Rush Pinball has an interactive topper. It's absolutely beautiful, but look at this price point of $1,700 US. Now, if you go back and check the article, you can see that MSRP of $9.99, much more digestible, but the question is, will it be as advanced as the Rush Pinball Topper or the Mandalorian Pinball Topper that was $2,000? We will find out as of Tuesday, May 30th at 9 a.m. Central Time. You're going to finally see the Godzilla Topper is going to be unveiled. Now, keep in mind, these come out in limited quantities, and apparently Stern is only doing one production run. That's all that's been listed right now. So if you're interested in getting a Godzilla Topper for your Stern Godzilla Pinball, Tuesday is the time to do it. Make sure you got $1,000 just sitting around. Holy shit, that's $1,000. Where am I going to find $1,000? So guys, last but not least, if you're a fan of the smaller scale arcade machines, you know, desk shit, big news came out this past week, dropped yesterday. Numbskull's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time cabinets were officially unveiled. We got the pricing, we got a look at the cabinet. Let's talk about it now. So guys, if you head on over to the Numbskull Quarter Arcades page, there you go. You've got your different options for your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcades. You can see the box it's going to come in, all the goodies that are included with the different bundles, and there it is. I mean, that original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade cab is my childhood in a nutshell. I will tell you, I am very, very, very intrigued about picking this up. I have massive FOMO. But the thing I want to tell you about, you go and look at the details. You can see here, fully player replica using the original TMNT Arcade ROM. So no weird glitching out on the voice when they say turtle power, heroes in a half shell. You remember with the Arcade1Up one where they modified it. Light up marquee, 4 players simultaneous play. If 4 people had trouble playing on the Arcade1Up, I can't imagine 4 people being able to play on this cabinet. But the cool thing about that is, though, with the 4-player turtle cab, depending on which turtle you want to play as, that'll change your positioning on the cabinet. High quality, made for durable playability and portability. 4 times front USB ports that allow you to put in a controller if you want. 6-foot screen with a 6 TFT, 6-inch screen, so a little bit bigger than Replicade. Replicade usually include a 4.2 screen. This is a 6-inch screen. 3-watt built-in speakers, powered via USB-C, internal rechargeable lithium battery. So, you know, this is the 10th game in the Quarter Arcade series, and the first one from Konami. I think this is a huge release from them, probably one of the biggest ones in terms of licensing. Now, the other thing is, if you want to actually go pick it up, you get to shop it up. You can go pick up Just Geek for this Turtles one. But the other one that they were showing earlier was the official Konami shop. That's where you'd have to go pick it up. And the price point on this bad boy is $300 US, $299. And for me, I mean, that's the hard part. I know Verstelge's going to jump in with, oh, here we go, entitled fans. It's one of those things. During the pandemic, Quarter Arcades came out and they asked the question, would you guys be okay with us making these in plastic going forward to cut costs? And everybody said, no, go ahead, keep the wood. So now, here's the end result of that. The cabinets are now $300. I mean, I don't know. Replicades are, a lot cheaper than this, almost half. So that price point is a bit staggering at $300. We'll see how well they sell. I hope this is successful. I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love recreations of the original arcade. Like I said, that arcade meant the world to me as a kid, so hopefully it does well. And if you guys want to go pick one up or pre-order them, basically, now's the time. Jump on over to the Quarter Arcades page, choose your favorite retailer. Look like there's some options out there. The official Konami shop, Just Geek. Get it while the getting's good. So guys, and that's just my update of the news this Friday. Like I said, Arcade1Up episode 6 happened yesterday. Did we get Robotron? No. Did he hint at Robotron? Yes. For Arcade1Up or for Raw Thrills? I have no idea. But what he did talk about was Fast and the Furious, and they provided some justification for why they did the port that they did. On top of that, we also got some news on maybe a new release schedule for Arcade1Up in the coming year, and it looks like we're going to have a much more robust release lineup than we originally thought. On top of that, we got an update for Mortal Kombat 30th Anniversary that improves the play, improves the lag function. Hopefully that will make the experience better, and hopefully they invest in spectate mode for that cabinet. On top of that, iiRcade's having a huge sale. If there's some titles out there that you are possibly interested in adding to your library, but you're a little gun shy because of the price, or you weren't sure if you're going to like them, now's the time to go check out, see if they're on sale, and pick them up. Then on top of that, we've got great pinball news. That Godzilla topper, I talked to my wife about it. I don't know if I'm going to get it yet. I mean, it's going to be like, by the time it gets here, probably like $1,600 to $2,000 shipped from the US. I'll check out what the Canadian retailers have it at. Really got to think about that. It's a lot of money, but it's so cool. And I haven't even seen it yet. I'm having this conversation. So we'll see what that looks like on Tuesday. I just know it's going to sell out relatively quickly. And then last but not least, Numbskull's Quarter Arcade Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Looks awesome, but comes at a high price point. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think of all the news? What did you think of the shows? Is there anything you're excited about? Let me know in the comments down below. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you later.